Welcome everyone to our first ever Exoskeleton News episode. Today we'll be talking about all the news that happened for the week of November 28, 2024, which is also Thanksgiving here in the United States. So let's find out what happened. First, we got a new podcast episode where we talk about all the exoskeleton organizations that exist beyond what is producers, developers, or matchmaking entities. So this would be things like the Automotive Exoskeleton Group, Get to Excel, both the European and the Japanese producer associations, Modus Academy, American Bionics, and many more. So if you are driving on the way home, check out this episode. Tom and I spent about 2 to 3 minutes for each organization, and on the YouTube version, we go to their websites, and on the audio version, we do our best to describe what distinguishes each one. In industry news, Ikea is once again tinkering with exoskeleton technology. Many years ago, they were working with wearable and had some marketing material, and now it would appear that they're working with Urex by Autobach, and they have launched 400 or so shoulder support exoskeletons to help support stocking and logistics. Because at the end of the day, you really can't automate everything. You will always end up with some sort of a human element and human in the loop. So it becomes for employees even more difficult to keep up with automation and industrialization. So it makes sense to give them support equipment. So we hope that this is only the beginning, as this signifies only a handful of units per store at this moment. As always, please support us on Patreon. It costs more than $4,000 to keep the Exoskeleton Report running. So if you enjoy our content, please become a member. On the medical side, LifeWard, which is the new name for ReWalk Robotics, has announced that now Hungary has also joined Germany and the United States in including medical coverage for their personal use walking assist exoskeleton. And as all the other stories, all the information and the links part of the newsletter. There's two things that really stand out in this coverage. One of them is obviously that they have agreed their government to include this as part of medical insurance, which is a huge step forward for the entire medical exoskeleton community. But also they are quoting local university studies that showed that the ReWalk and using the ReWalk was really beneficial for secondary effects, which is something that historically has been hard to quantify and really pinpoint. So this by itself is also a positive encouragement. I did not know this. December 3rd is the International Day for Persons with Disability. So thank you for Trexo Robotics for highlighting this on social media. There is a new study that is going to be published soon on Frontiers, and it involves an ankle exoskeleton, most likely similar to the one that is sold by Biomotum. And it shows that after using it on individuals with cerebral palsy, most likely young adults or kids, outside of a medical setting, outside of their physical rehabilitation environment, but out in the real world, the individuals that had access to the powered ankle exoskeleton show longer stride length and faster walking. And in addition to what is the obvious news here, it is again encouraging to see studies being performed on medical exoskeletons being taken outside of a medical or rehabilitation facility, which has always been a key goal for mobile rehabilitation or robotics, ones that are not tethered or linked on a frame, that you can have people exercise while they're out in a real world environment. So good job to Biomotum, and keep your eyes peeled for the full paper to be published on Frontiers. SES, which is the Titanic Consumer Electronics Show, usually happening in January in Las Vegas, has honored several exoskeleton companies, and I came to find out that one of them is Human in Motion, and in the previous edition we talked about two South Korean exoskeleton companies that have gotten an award. So congratulations to them. This is a great way to highlight the technology, get more investments, hopefully to get it further refined. And it's a proof that this field is becoming more and more recognized. Similarly, Wondercraft decided to participate in a bipedal human robotics competition, and they ended up winning 2 awards. And what an exoskeleton is doing for that, the Wondercraft is a self-balancing walking assist exoskeleton, so the human and the user does not need to use crutches in order to self-balance. So for them, it made sense to put a dummy inside the exoskeleton and just run it as a bipedal device, and it was able to compete with the best of them. There's a short video to give you an idea. I've put the link to that here. So it looks a little bit freaky to have a dummy inside the Wondercraft, but as you can see, it's competing against dedicated bipedal robots, and the fact that it was able to win not one but 2 disciplines is just mind-boggling. So congratulations to the Wondercraft team, and a great idea to compete in that in the first place. Well, obviously it would also been interesting to see the Wondercraft compete once again at the Cybathlon, which unfortunately did not happen this year. Going back to the newsletter, ReWalk has done something really interesting with their STEM education, university level exoskeleton, the Exo Pro. They have begun partnering with different colleges and universities on making different projects that make sense for the university level. In this case, it is a virtual reality simulator where they're using 2 Exo Pros as input and haptic feedback output. I think it was fascinating that their proof of concept game made a lot of sense, which was the beer pong game where you have to land a ball inside one of the red cups, and they used the Exo Pro as the input device for that. Well, in that application, obviously, there isn't too much of a force feedback. So this was only to get them started before moving on to the main project. And this also demonstrates that the Exo Pro can be used with both the Unity game engine, and now for this project, they have used the Unreal game engine as well. In standardization news, it is really not obvious just how much activity is happening behind the curtains for Committee F48 by ASTM International on Exoskeletons and Exosuits. They have dozens of work items in development, so it was a pleasure to see that they have published a new story. This one will be a proposed work item on how to communicate fit for exoskeleton technology, and they have a really funny tagline that it's fitting the exoskeleton to the user, not the user to the exoskeleton. They have additional information on their press release. I think it's very concise and straightforward. And again, all of the links on the newsletter itself. And finally, I always end with the upcoming events. So December 5 is the Automotive Exoskeleton Quarterly Meeting. You can sign up through LinkedIn or through their website. December 10, this time it will be a virtual full committee meeting for F48 on Exoskeleton and Exosuits. This is open to the public. You just need to register in advance. There's links for all of that if you click through here, or if you just go through the actual event calendar, which is right over here. And other than that, there's a handful of conferences that are coming up. So all of this and more is on the events calendar. You just click on that and it goes right there. And you can subscribe to this, get the newsletter delivered to you weekly. The subscription form is on the Exoskeleton Report website, and if you ever get tired of it, you can also unsubscribe easy enough. The entire process is automatic. It's done behind the curtains by MailerLite, so there's not like any time delay. where you have to wait for me to manually add you or remove you from a list. So this is the first ever episode of the Exoskeleton News. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about it and if you would like to see more of them. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Ciao.